There's something shifting in your reality right now. Something so subtle you might not have caught it yet, but it's there, humming beneath the surface of your awareness like a frequency you can almost hear. Your entire relationship with desire is changing, and with it, the very fabric of how opportunities, people, and experiences flow into your life. You've probably felt it in small moments. That conversation that went unexpectedly well when you weren't trying to impress anyone. The text message that arrived just as you stopped checking your phone every 5 minutes. The solution that appeared the moment you finally exhaled and said, I don't know how this is going to work out, but somehow it will. This isn't coincidence. This isn't luck or timing or positive thinking. This is something far more profound happening in the invisible architecture of your existence. Something that most people will never understand because they're too busy chasing, grasping, and forcing their way through life to notice the elegant intelligence that's actually orchestrating everything. What I'm about to share with you today will probably challenge everything you've been told about getting what you want. Because the truth is, the harder you chase something, the faster it runs from you. And the moment you stop chasing, it has nowhere to go but toward you. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. When was the last time you got something you desperately wanted by desperately wanting it? I'm talking about that bone deep, can't sleep at night, check your phone every 5 minutes kind of wanting. That energy where you're constantly strategizing, manipulating circumstances, trying to control every variable to make something happen. When has that energy ever actually delivered what you were after? If you're honest with yourself, you'll notice something interesting. The things that have shown up in your life, the real gifts, the genuine surprises, the opportunities that actually changed your trajectory, they almost always arrived when you weren't strangling them with your need. There's a reason for this, and it has nothing to do with worthiness or karma or whether you've been good enough. It has everything to do with the energetic reality of how consciousness interfaces with the quantum field of infinite possibility.
Think of it this way. Imagine you're trying to thread a needle, but your hands are shaking with desperation. The more you need to get that thread through, the more your hands shake. The more they shake, the more impossible the task becomes. But the moment you relax, breathe, and approach it with steady calm, the thread goes through effortlessly. Your desires work the same way. When you approach something from desperation, from that energy of, I need this or I'll die, I can't be happy without this, this has to happen now, you create what I call energetic static. You're broadcasting on a frequency of lack, of incompleteness, of frantic urgency. And the universe, which is always listening, always responding, hears that frequency and says, oh, you're identifying as someone who doesn't have this thing. Let me match that energy and keep you in the experience of not having it. But here's what's really happening underneath all of this.
There's a world of difference between wanting something and needing something. And most people have never learned to tell them apart. Wanting comes from fullness. It's saying, my life is already beautiful, and this would be a wonderful addition. It's approaching desire from a place of curiosity, appreciation, and openness to whatever form the answer might take. Needing comes from emptiness. It's saying, I am incomplete without this thing, and I cannot be okay until I have it. It's approaching desire from a place of desperation, control, and attachment to one specific outcome. Can you feel the different energy in those two approaches? Can you sense how one creates space for magic while the other creates resistance? Think about a time when you really needed something to happen. Maybe it was getting that job, attracting that person, solving that financial problem. Remember how you felt in your body? The tension, the constant mental loops, the way you couldn't quite relax or enjoy anything else because this one thing was consuming all your mental and emotional resources. That energy of need is like trying to drink water while holding your breath. You're so focused on getting what you want that you can't actually receive it when it shows up.
Now think about something you've wanted from a more relaxed place. Maybe you casually mentioned to a friend that it would be nice to visit a certain city someday, and then months later, someone offered you a free trip there. Or you thought it would be fun to learn something new, and the perfect teacher just happened to appear in your life. Notice the difference. One approach creates flow. The other creates friction. This isn't about not caring about your desires or pretending you don't want things. Your desires are sacred. They're how life expands through you, how the universe dreams new possibilities into existence. But there's a way to hold desire that invites manifestation, and a way to hold it that repels everything you're trying to create.
I want you to imagine you're in a garden, and there's a beautiful butterfly dancing just out of reach. Now, what happens when you start chasing it? The faster you move, the faster it flies away. You could run around that garden all day, getting more and more frustrated, more and more desperate, and never get close to that butterfly. But what happens when you stop chasing? When you sit down on a bench, maybe pull out a book, and just be present in the garden. Suddenly, the butterfly has no reason to run from you. It might even land on your shoulder, drawn to your stillness, your lack of agenda. This is exactly how manifestation works. Your desires are like that butterfly. The more you chase them with frantic energy, the more they elude you. But when you learn to embody the state of already having what you want, when you can be genuinely okay whether it shows up or not, you remove the energetic pressure that was pushing it away. I know this sounds paradoxical. You're broadcasting the frequency of, I don't have this. But when you want something from a place of wholeness, you're in a state of abundance. You're broadcasting the frequency of, I am complete, and this would be a beautiful addition to my already wonderful life. And the universe always matches your frequency. I want you to think back to the last time something incredible showed up in your life. Something you'd been hoping for, working toward, maybe even worrying about. Really take yourself back to that time period. Now, I want you to remember not just when it manifested, but what was happening in your inner world right before it appeared. What was your mental and emotional state in the days or hours before this thing showed up? I'm willing to bet there was a moment, maybe subtle, maybe dramatic, when something shifted inside you. A moment when you stopped trying so hard, when you released the death grip you'd been holding on the outcome, when you found a way to be genuinely okay with whatever happened. Maybe you finally said, you know what, if it's meant to be, it will be. Maybe you got so busy with something else that you forgot to obsess about it for a while. Maybe you just reached a point of exhaustion where you couldn't hold the tension anymore and you had to let go. That moment of release wasn't giving up. It was stepping into alignment with how manifestation actually works. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that the job offer comes right after you stop desperately searching job boards every day? The relationship blooms when you finally become content being single. The money shows up when you stop checking your bank account with anxiety and find a way to feel abundant with what you have. This pattern is everywhere once you start noticing it. But here's what most people don't understand about that moment of release. They think it means you stop caring about your desires or that you give up on what you want. That's not what's happening at all. What's actually happening is that you're removing the energetic interference that was blocking what was already trying to reach you. You're clearing the static from the signal. You're creating space for the universe to work its magic. Let me share something with you that might sound a little far out, but stay with me because this is where everything starts to make sense. Reality is not solid the way we think it is. At the quantum level, everything is energy, frequency, vibration. What we experience as solid matter is actually mostly empty space, with particles that exist in a state of pure possibility until consciousness collapses them into specific experiences. Your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, these aren't just happening inside your head. They're energy patterns that interact with the field of pure potential that surrounds you. They're literally broadcasting signals into the quantum field and drawing back experiences that match those signals. When you're in a state of desperate need, you're broadcasting a very specific frequency. It's the frequency of, I am incomplete. I am lacking something essential. I am not okay as I am. And the quantum field, which is always listening, always responding, hears that signal and says, okay, I'll give you more experiences of being incomplete, of lacking, of not having what you need. But when you can genuinely shift into a state of appreciation for what is, while holding your desires lightly, you broadcast a completely different frequency. You're saying, I am already whole. I am already abundant. I am already blessed. And I'm open to even more goodness flowing into my life. This isn't positive thinking or affirmations. This is about the actual energetic state you're embodying moment to moment. The universe doesn't respond to what you say you want or what you think you should have. It responds to the energy you're actually emanating, the frequency you're actually broadcasting through your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. And here's the beautiful thing. When you learn to emanate the energy of already having what you want, not as a technique or a trick, but as a genuine state of being, you become a magnet for experiences that match that energy.
So, how do you actually apply this understanding in your daily life? How do you move from desperate wanting to magnetic allowing? First, notice your desperation when it arises. Don't judge it or try to suppress it. Just notice it. Notice how it feels in your body. Notice the thoughts that accompany it. Notice how it affects your behavior, your interactions, your ability to be present and enjoy what's already here. Desperation has a very specific energetic signature. It feels contracted, urgent, grasping. It makes you scan your environment constantly for evidence of whether what you want is coming or not. It makes you try to control circumstances and manipulate outcomes. When you notice this energy, take a breath and ask yourself, what would it feel like to want this same thing from a place of wholeness rather than from a place of lack?
This isn't about talking yourself out of your desires. It's about finding a way to hold them that doesn't torture you in the process. Second, practice the art of holding your desires like a prayer rather than like a demand. A prayer has a quality of surrender built into it. It says, "This is what I would love, and I trust that life knows how to bring me what's truly best for me, even if it looks different than what I'm imagining." A demand says, "This specific thing must happen in this specific way by this specific time, or I won't be okay." Can you feel the difference? One invites miracles, the other creates resistance. Third, learn to find genuine appreciation for what's already here.
not as a manifestation technique, but as a way of living. When you can truly appreciate what you already have, you shift your fundamental frequency from lack to abundance. And from that place of abundance, everything flows more easily. This doesn't mean settling for less than you want. It means recognizing that you can want more while being genuinely grateful for what is. As you start to experiment with these principles, you might notice something fascinating happening. The things you've been chasing might start showing up, but they might not look exactly like what you thought you wanted. Maybe you were desperately trying to make a specific relationship work, and when you finally let go, the perfect person for you appeared from nowhere. Maybe you were obsessing about one particular job opportunity, and when you relaxed, an even better opportunity opened up that you never could have predicted. This is the universe's intelligence at work. It knows things you don't know. It can see connections and possibilities that your rational mind could never compute. But it can only work its magic when you stop micromanaging the process. There's a deeper mystery here that goes beyond just getting what you want. As you learn to relate to your desires from a place of wholeness rather than neediness, you start to discover that the real gift isn't getting the thing you thought you wanted. The real gift is becoming the kind of person who doesn't need anything external to be fundamentally okay.
And paradoxically, that's when everything starts flowing to you effortlessly. You become like a tuning fork, vibrating at the frequency of abundance, and everything in your environment starts resonating with that same frequency. Opportunities appear, synchronicities multiply, the right people show up at the right time, resources materialize just when you need them. But here's the beautiful irony. By the time this starts happening consistently, you're no longer desperate for any of it. You appreciate it all, you enjoy it all, you're grateful for it all, but you're not dependent on any of it for your fundamental sense of okayness.
So here's my invitation to you as we come to the end of our time together today. For the next week, pay attention to the energy you bring to your desires. Notice when you're coming from need versus when you're coming from want. Notice when you're trying to control outcomes versus when you're allowing them to unfold. Notice when you're checking for evidence that your manifestations are working versus when you're simply living your life in appreciation of what's already here. And experiment with the butterfly principle. Instead of chasing what you want, see what happens when you embody the energy of already having it. Not as a technique or a manipulation, but as a genuine exploration of what it might feel like to be that version of yourself. What would the version of you who already has everything you want be doing today? How would they be showing up? What energy would they be broadcasting? Become that person now, not after you get what you want, but right now in this moment.
Because here's the final secret I want to leave you with. You don't get what you want by becoming worthy of it, or by figuring out the right formula, or by trying hard enough. You get what you want by becoming the energetic match for it. And you become the energetic match for it by embodying the version of yourself who already has it. The things you want aren't somewhere out there waiting for you to earn them. They're already on their way to you. They've been on their way to you all along. Your job isn't to make them happen. Your job is to remove the energetic barriers that have been preventing them from reaching you. And the biggest barrier of all? The desperate, grasping, controlling energy that says, I need this to be okay. When you can release that energy and step into the frequency of, I am already okay, and I'm excited to see what beautiful surprises life has in store for me, everything changes. The butterfly stops running
and lands gently on your shoulder. The universe stops withholding and starts flowing. And you discover that you've always had the power to create the reality you desire, not through force, but through alignment. Not through desperation, but through trust. The shift is already happening in your reality. Can you feel it? Let it unfold.